Okay, welcome guys to the next Blender tutorial. So, I'm giving the webcam a little bit of a break today, so you guys can see what I'm doing really. Let's go ahead and delete the default cube because today we're making a bulb and we're not going to need that. We're going to need more. Let's go to circle. Let's go ahead and get these screencasting keys on for you guys. And so what we're going to do, let's go to edit mode. I'm just going to press G to bring it up, because what we're going to do here is we're going to start with making the basic bulb shape. So what I would suggest is let's go ahead and just press F for fill, S to scale down, and then what we're going to do is we'll go 1 for side view, and let's go E for extrude, scale it down just ever so slightly, scale outwards, and then E for extrude, scale it down again, scale outwards, E for extrude, S for scaling outwards. Now you're just going to go ahead and make a nice little dome, E for extrude again, let's go ahead and scale outwards, E for extrude, and then we're just going to go and make it nice and smooth as we're coming down into the base. Now older bulbs generally tend to have more of a rounder base at the top rather than at the bottom compared to more modern bulbs. So let's go ahead and just pull that in. So you want essentially just a nice kind of arc as you're coming through. I'm just going to go ahead and just redo that one on mine. Just come out just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to start coming in just as such. I am going to mess. Let's go to toggle X-ray, select all of these vertices, and I'm just going to go ahead and just expand that just a little bit, and then just reselect everything that you've got below and take off the toggle X-ray. So let's go scale in, E for extrude, we're going to go ahead and scale in again, and then at this point we've kind of got a nice little curve coming round into a smaller bulb at the bottom. So let's go ahead and just pull that out. And essentially what you want to do at this point is just curve this under. So this is kind of an older design for a bulb. I'm just going to go E for extrude and just bring this round. And then E for extrude and just bring this down. So once you've got this basic shape, let's go to object mode, shade smooth. You should have something like this. So now what you want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and just S for scale and just kind of scale this up just ever so slightly. So we're just scaling upwards just like this. So we've got roughly this shape right here. So let's go ahead and make the base to this. So what I'm going to do is let's go to add, circle, G, bring this up. We want a screw just at the bottom. So let's go ahead and take this circle right here. We'll go to edit mode, press F for fill, object mode again. Let's go 7 to heaven, press G, bring this across, and then I'm just going to go shift D, move this just here, shift D again. And what you essentially want to do is just kind of make kind of like a nice little screw kind of thing going on. So let's try with this. Let's go and click on everything that we've just made. Let's try and get it almost like that. Okay, so everything that we've just made right there. Let's go for Control J. Join these together. It's okay if it does this, don't worry about it, because we're going to be modifying this. So let's go with screw. You want to go with the Z axis, I do believe it is, or Z, however you want to pronounce that. Let's go with screw, just bring this up. We kind of want an oldie-timey screw, so maybe let's go shade smooth on this so we can see the screw a little better. You can see that the screw is coming around just here. What I'm going to do is twist this a little bit more. Actually, let's turn the angle down. Just for about that, and then I'm going to just reduce the meters just ever so slightly. So you can actually rebuild this one if you don't like it, but we can go scale and just bring this down just ever so slightly. You kind of just wanted the impression of a screw really in the middle. We've actually forgotten one just here. Let's just go back a little bit. So we should have these ones, and then we've got that one underneath. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to restart this one. So let's get this. Let's go Shift D. Go to the side right there. And then I'm going to take 1 and 2. Let's go Shift D again. And then we'll do R for rotate. And we will do rotate on the Z axis. Or the Y, or the Z. Whatever you want. So someone complained. Let's go 90 in the middle. Let's select everything again. Let's try this again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Control J. Add. And then we are going to go to the screw. Let's try and bring this up again, see what we've got. That's much better, I think. Could just bring it down a little bit. I think the reason why we've got this like this is because we don't have a center one. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead, go back again. Real quick. And then I'm going to put one of these in the center. So let's go Shift D. We'll move this cross just in the middle right here. And what I'm going to do, let's select outer, 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 middle. You should have the middle highlighted as your last one. Okay, I think that's the middle highlighted as the last one. Definitely looks like it. Let's go Control J again. And this one should be on there. So let's go Control J once more. And we'll try this again. So let's go to Add Modifier and we should go Screw. Yes, this is a lot better. So this is what we want. You kind of want the object in the middle. So let's go G and bring this down. We'll scale this down as well so that it fits the bulb. Just at the base right here. So you might need to just move it across just ever so slightly. I think side view right here, as you can see, it's just slightly off. So let's press G and just bring this back. I'm going to go S for scale as well. Just as such, let's press G. Just bring that back. I'm going to go ahead and just reduce the meters high that it is. And then add the irritation things. Just coming up the side, just here. Let's make that just slightly bigger. Just about there. Let's go G, bring this up. And now we have the base of a light bulb with a little screw on it. So the next thing we want to do is make the housing. But first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this glass. So let's go to Modifier. We'll go ahead, sorry, not to Modifier. Let's go to Material. Let's go ahead to New. Principal BSDF, switch it out to a Glass BSDF and turn the roughness down. If you haven't already, switch out EV in the render engine right here to Cycles. And we should have something like this with a little bit of glass, and then we've got this underneath. So this right here, what we can do with, let's go to Materials again, New, and let's go to Principal BSDF. We'll turn the metal up. So we've got that nice metallic, but we also want that dullness. And what I'm going to do is let's change this from white to kind of almost like a brass colour. We can also mess around with some of the settings as well. So if we go to shading, to make this look a little bit older, we could go ahead and add, let's go with the noise texture. So noise texture right there. Color to base color. And you'll have something like this. Or you can go from metallic. If you wanted to do it like that, you can go for roughness. So you've kind of got that nice little shine that's going on, but at the same time, you've got all this roughness kind of degrading material. Don't even think degradation's a word. Here we go. So, yeah, you can turn your roughness up on this. You can turn it down a little bit. Maybe this bulb's been used too much. Maybe it's scratched up. Dust, dirt, whatever. So let's go back to layout. For the glass right here, if we go back to shading, we can add a Voronoi texture to this, and we can also add a little bit of roughness as well. Maybe it's an older bulb that's been kept somewhere, something like that, right? So let's go ahead and add, and we'll go with, we can go Voronoi texture right there. You can take the colour to roughness, and you've got something like this, depending on what you want for your project, really. I mean, this could be kind of like a dust cover or something like that. You could go ahead and just make this kind of random. Or non-random. Let's see, detail. So you can kind of frost it up a little bit. You can take that down as well. IOR, you could edit that one. So it looks a little bit dusty. It looks ill-maintained. As such. So let's go ahead and just mess around with this a bit. Maybe like a 0 or something. Maybe we could take down that roughness just ever so slightly, so it's got like a little haze on it. As such. So, once we've done this part, we want to go back to the layout. I'm going to go ahead and just put this to a regular render for the moment and X-ray. Primarily because we need to place in the inside of the bulb. So, what we can do is, let's go ahead and place that in there. So, I'm just going to go ahead just real quickly and just make sure that I've got pictures of a bulb, so I can get this as accurate as possible. One second. Okay, so what I've also seen as well is you can kind of get some little debris on the inside right here. So let's go with shading a moment. We can change this colour to a black. You kind of have an ash kind of look on the inside, as if the bulb's kind of burnt out a little bit. So what we can do as well, let's go back to layout and let's place in our centerpieces right here. So we're going to need, let's go to add, let's go to cylinder. I'm just going to press G just to bring it up. Let's go 1 on the number pad right here. Scale this down. And just scale it in just ever so slightly. So this is going to be our base for the tech that we're about to put inside of it. So let's go with G, bring this across. And I'm just going to make sure that this sits and fits as it doesn't right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just restart this one. So let's go with cylinder, G, bring up, let's press 1, scale down. And then I'm just going to scale it down like this rather than the other way. G, bring this up. And then scale outwards. And then just S for scale and scale it down again. Just as such. So let's go ahead and shade that smooth and add new. And we'll place this just as black. This is not going to be seen, but it's just to hide the screw a little bit. So the next bit, let's go and Shift D to duplicate. We'll go ahead and press S to scale down. You want this just in the middle right here. Let's press G, bring this down to make this flush. So you should have something like this. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. Let's go to edit mode. Take the top face right here. Let's press 1. Go to side view. You want to go ahead and just press S for scale. E for extrude. E for extrude again. E for extrude. S for scale. And then we're just going to slowly kind of bring this in. So let's go S for scale again. Scale inwards. S for scale. And then we'll pull this back out in the middle. So this piece is actually going to be glass. Let's go ahead. Scale that in. And then what we're going to do for this middle part is just go straight up. So, E for extrude. Go straight up right there. And usually what you find is you have this little thicker bit just in the middle, which is where everything attaches. Just go ahead and scale that in just as such. Just like that. Okay, so once you've got all of this, let's go ahead object mode. I'm going to go right click shade smooth for this one. And then I'm going to go with Principled BSDF, switch this out for glass, and turn down the roughness all the way. So now you should have something that looks akin to this. So essentially what we want to do now, I'm going to go ahead and just darken the colour on this one just ever so slightly, so we can see that in the middle. The next bit we want to do is the little rods that connect to this. So all we need to do is add. Let's go ahead and just put this on regular. Add, let's go cylinder. Press G to bring it up. S to scale. And then just scale it down as such. So you've got this nice little rod. Let's go right click shade smooth. I'm going to change this to new. Let's change this to black on the materials tab. Let's press G, bring it down. And you want to elongate it and then scale it in just ever so slightly. So now you want an angle. So let's go rotate maybe 20. I think 20 might be too far out, but let's test it. Yeah. Okay, so let's go, instead of 20, let's go rotate and we'll go 10. Press G, bring it across. And I'm just going to scale this up just ever so slightly. Press G, bring it up, and what you want to do is make sure that this touches the bottom and also kind of comes out at the side. So if you need to elongate this just slightly, that's fine. So let's go ahead with Shift D, bring the second one across, and what you want to do is rotate it by 180. Try and get both of these little metal pieces, I don't know what they're called, forgive me, and try and get them kind of equidistant within the model itself. So once you've done that, it should look something like this. So these two little rods should go straight through the glass in the middle right there. The next thing that we want to do is a nice little connector in the middle. Now this is going to be our emission. Now what I would like to do here actually is just bring these rods in just ever so slightly closer. Just about there. I just feel that they're a little bit too far apart. Maybe don't touch them, but just have them apart. What you could also do is take the base right here that you've made of the bulb, and let's go Shift D, and then we can go ahead and just press S and scale it in to the base of this, and then S to come up just about there. So you can kind of see how that works. It's very fiddly at this bit. So you've got one object here, and then you've got one object here, one object here, and then one object here, and then you've got the two rods and this little glass bit in the middle. Okay, so your bulb should look something like this. It looks a little bit too clean for me. I might actually mess this up a little bit. This is a picture of an older bulb that I've kind of seen off of Google Images, where it kind of bulges out at the bottom. But if you'd like a bulb that's flush here, it kind of comes up. Totally up to you. You can amend all of this. You just literally click the object, edit mode, and just take these vertices right here, press 1 to go on the side obviously, and then just scale everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mine this way. Let's go ahead and add this rod into the middle so that we've got some light emission coming from this. So let's go back to regular, add, and we'll go with a cylinder. So let's press G, bring it up, alpha rotate, 90 degrees, scale it down, so it's itty bitty tiny. And essentially what you want to do is get this rod running from here, through here, to here. So let's go ahead, scale this up, scale this down. You maybe want just about there, it's like a wire. So let's go G, bring this down, just to the center right there, scale across, and just come out just at the side, just as such. Right click shade smooth and go to new. Let's change principal BSDF out in the materials tab to an emission. And you want this slightly yellow. All old bulbs for some reason were slightly yellow. So let's go ahead and turn up the strength on this. I'm just going to go to render. And you'll see now that we've got this nice illumination that's going on in the middle. Now, some of the rods that go across here can be, what do you call it? They can be twisted. They can be twisted on the inside, or you can have straight ones. It's totally up to you. But this is generally how that looks. So what I'm going to do, let's add a plane. Scale this plane out. And just bring this to the bottom of the bulb. So we've got something like this. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to remove the lights from the scene. So now we have this oldie worldy bulb. Let's take the rod in the middle, which is our emission, and just increase the strength. Totally up to you how you want to do it, but this is generally the number that I use. I'm gonna go ahead and just make this more yellow. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to the world settings and just turn this down. So now we can see that we have this bulb. It's kind of messed up on the inside, very oldie worldy kind of bulb. We can also make a stand for this if you wanted to. And to be honest with you, I might amend the shading that I did. Let's go ahead and just scale this Veroni down just ever so slightly. I think it's too much. I think that would be okay. That seems to be pretty much okay. And then just edit this IOR. I'm going to go back to layout. And you can make your base really easily, to be honest with you, with one of these. Let's go ahead and go to regular again. I'm calling it regular because I'm not too sure what the terms are for every single one. So let's go to add. Cylinder. Press G, bring this up. So essentially what you're going to want to do is just make a little basin. Let's go with edit. Going to go ahead and take this bottom face right here. Let's go scale. E for extrude. And then E for extrude again. Let's go to the top face right here. Gonna go E for extrude, bring this up. Scale this in. Let's take this off X-ray actually so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's go E for extrude again. Scale this in. And then E for extrude and just drop it. You can scale this in just to bevel it off a little bit, but just drop it. So once you've got this, let's go object mode. Right click shade smooth. Let's press G, just bring it up. Now old bulbs weren't flush. They weren't really flush with anything. They generally had like a little bit sticking out. So maybe you could do something like that. So now we have this nice little bulb going on. And this is what it should look like once this all renders in. So what you can do as well, you can take the rod bit in the middle right here. Let's go ahead and see if we can click that off. So, come on. I'm just going to go back to standard and just select it, and then here we go. Okay, so when you've got the render right here, let's go to materials tab, and you can actually turn this up just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and just add an extra 0. Let's go 2 zeros right there. I'm going to go ahead and just amend the IOR just slightly. Let's see. So this should come through. If you want to remove this Voronoi texture, you're more than welcome to. If you don't like it, you could go through different options right here, like ray shadows, stuff like that. It's totally up to you. Like age, whatever you like. To be honest with you, with this design, I mean, it's an option to have this kind of Voronoi texture going on, but to be honest with you, with this design, I'm just going to remove it. See what this looks like. Let's change that IOR a bit. You could have something like that. It's kind of an option for you guys if you want that. I would personally say, let's go back where the Voronoi texture's on here. You could go ahead and change this to colour if you wanted to. You could go change this to normal. You could put this in displacement. So just kind of like mess around with it, see what works for you. You've got thickness as well. I'm going to go with roughness, just see what happens. So now we've kind of got this nice little rough kind of bulb. If you add its colour, this is what happens. IOR. I mean, putting this on IOR is quite unique. We can go ahead and scale this up. Let's see. So then you've got all these little bits on there if you wanted that. It's totally up to you. Maybe this bulb wasn't blown properly, you know, when they were making them, and it's got imperfections. You could totally have something like that. So I mean, just mess around with it, just see what works for you, essentially. Yeah, so if you guys like this tutorial, you're more than welcome to join, you know, subscribe, like, and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get the play button at the minute, so, you know, any help would be great. I will see you guys in the next one, I guess. Thank you for watching. Bye.